Now then, how we doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yourself?
Really good afternoon and or morning where you are, and obviously welcome to all of our listeners. As always, I'm Rick.
If you are listening and you've not subscribed, can you please subscribe? Because
yeah,
we're the lowest subscribed thing on earth right now. But I know there's a few people listening to this. I do get a little bit of feedback here and there.
Yeah, especially considering how good we are as well. You know what I mean? When you as elite level as we are, then it'd be nice to see some love. But as always, I'm Rick. Jon, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. And you'll be pleased to know, actually, I've got my guy back for the editing stuff. He's got time again, so I won't need to edit. So we should stay looking semi-professional.
I did wonder. I'm not gonna lie.
The guy's
I didn't pass comment.
No, he got another job, and I was like, "Fuck!" He's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna have as much time." Okay. Anyway, something fell through with it all. I was like, "So we're back on then, right?" He's like, "Yeah, we're good to go." I was like, "Cool," because I don't want to do this shit myself. Cool. Nobody
wants you doing the editing, mate. That's a bit like me doing haircuts and stuff. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. If you're listening, that's hopefully self-explanatory. That joke, anyway.
I mean, I've got the eggshell blonde haircut, haven't I? So yeah. But anyway, yeah. Life is good here, mate. How's life in LA?
It's been good. It's funny actually. It was rain for a few days, right? And you forget, like, people talk about how much the weather makes a difference to your mood and stuff. And obviously, growing up in the UK, and you obviously still live there, like, there's a lot of dark, grey, rainy days, right? And you forget how much you just get used to it and get on with shit. That whole, the whole British, stiff upper lip shit. You kind of we kind of just got on with stuff. It was a bit miserable, but now I've been so used to the sun, pretty much since I left, the UK 10 years ago. I mean, everywhere I've lived's been sunny. California's been there, but now I get 2 days of rain and I'm miserable as fuck. I didn't realise. Fucking going to it, I'm getting wet and I'm like, this is shit, and I'm in a mood all day. And then the next day it'll be sunny. I'm like, oh, right, okay, that was why.
So are you explaining my personality type here, Jon? Are you explaining to everyone why I'm such a miserable bastard? Is that what it is?
Well, maybe it was the weather. That's my point.
Or maybe I'm just miserable, but there we go.
Well, yeah. You have your moments, but don't we all? So what I was I've been thinking a lot about. I wanted to sort of, I guess, get your take on. Getting straight into it today. I've not got much of a rant today. I've had quite a hectic week. I've got a ton of things I could rant about, but that would be the whole podcast. So sticking with kind of the business stuff. I know you've been doing a lot of mentoring this week, which some of these things might have come up, which is interesting. I was looking at, I guess, the hierarchy of building a business, right? Becoming a business owner, what your business is and how we tend to build it and with what in mind. And I think sometimes a lot of people don't. And I was reading a lot and looking at where I'm at. And I'd be interested to know, I guess, a little bit about where you think you're at with your business, because your business is very different from mine. But, we start out and we all have jobs initially. Very rarely do you just build your own, you leave school, college, uni, and just start a business. Although kids nowadays are doing that, especially with social media and whatnot. But by and large, you have a job, right? You learn your trade. And then the next iteration is usually being self-employed. Although people like to think self-employed is running a business. And I'm interested to get your take on. I know my take, self-employed is not running a business. Self-employed is being self-employed, and the difference between self-employed and then owning a business. But I think the bit that I misunderstood, and I'm very much in it now and working towards hopefully getting myself out of it, is, building a business and having a business that, your first iteration usually of owning a business is you actually end up owning a job. And it wasn't until someone told me that sentence that I was like, fuck, you're right. Because everyone tells you, I'm owning a business, like, it's fucking hard work, it's draining, it's tiring. And you're like, yeah, because you don't actually own a business. You do, but owning a business eventually should be that business runs without you.
Mm-hmm.
And you become like a business owner stroke almost investor in your own business, but it's run without you. And I'm very much stuck in that I own a job because it doesn't run without me, and I have to be here every day and I have to do the work, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you realise when that light bulb moment of fuck, I'm not quite what I think I am as a business owner. And I think a lot of people don't acknowledge that. They're just like, no, I run my own business, I do my own thing. It's like, well, do you? Because you have to be in at certain times. You have to do this, you have to do that. That's not really, running a business as such. That's working in your own business. And I've been reading a lot of stuff on it recently, and reading a lot of things on how to build your business. And if I had my time again, kind of starting off building the business with the end in mind. What is the end goal for your business? What are you actually going to do with it? A true business, again, should be sellable. If you can't sell it, it's not a business. Apparently, so I'm told. And then, so you start looking back and thinking, especially because you're interested me with your business, and some of your business uses your name, some of it is maps. And when you're building something that truly is the face of it, like where does that go? What's the big plan? How do you help people with that? Because I think people start like that and then get stuck. I'm sure because you help a lot of people have a much bigger plan, but a lot of people I don't think do. So I'm fucking really glad that my gym isn't called, John Bond's fucking gym, because then it wouldn't be as easily sellable. But what do you make of all that sort of stuff when you have people, coming to you about business and the whole business hierarchy, what it actually is and means? How do you tend to look at it?
I'm going to you said a few things there, mate. So I'm going to answer them in order, if that's all right with you.
It's laying the foundation of the layers and.
First off, you mentioned about how it's different for youngsters now and potentially with social media and all that kind of stuff. I've got to tell you, just for a laugh, you get these DMs off people, and we've talked about this. And when you think you're talking to robots, or is it AI or whatever, and got a DM the other day, because you get them every day, don't you? But this one has caught my eye, and I'm so tempted to reply to it. I really, really am, because this dude's got in touch with me, and he's like, he's going to help me build my business and leads and all the shit we've talked about before. And he's going to, mate, I've clicked on his profile. This fucker's about 16 years old.
Wow.
And I mean, he's a child, he's a child. And this I look in at once I got past the "you cheeky bastard" kind of phase, this part of me that thinks I like your hustle, I really do. If you've got if you're real, let's assume you are real and you're not a bot, or you're not, because he's got loads of videos of himself talking on, but it still could be fake, whatever. But I think it's real. And this part of me that thinks, hey, you know what? I admire the balls you've got. If that's real, for you to have the balls just to be DMing everyone when you look about 2 years younger than my son, then I'm here for it. So that was the first one. I think it is different now, different challenges back in our day. Our day was always hit.
Not to cut you off though, I think touching on that starting point, I do think there's an element, and as I've got older, definitely where if I was to potentially hire people to do the whole social media stuff eventually, I do think tapping into and looking at younger people is probably the key. They're the ones that fucking nail this
Absolutely.
Now,
absolutely.
The tricky part to that is a lot of what they might do to potentially sell your business would go against the grain of what you really want your business to be out, and you might be
absolutely.
But if you want to get I'm not about to go on TikTok and shit, do you know what I mean? But if I was got some 20-year-old that can smash it and bring a load of business in, then there might be a compromise there to look at it. I think we get stuck in our ways.
100%.
Yeah, the initial reaction is, who's this fucking kid? But then you might be like, well, hang on, this kid might know a shit ton, about that world, that I don't know enough about, and even some of the people you work with, marketing companies and whatnot. And on their age, maybe they're even as good at some of this stuff. Maybe they're a little bit behind the times now with the tools that these kids are using to fucking draw business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's interesting, but when getting out your own way a little bit, if you do want to build
Yeah.
I have to learn is like, don't be this fucking, who's this kid to try and tell me how to run my business? Well, maybe he fucking knows how to run it better than I do. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Very quickly learn that maybe they're not, but
No, you're absolutely right, mate. I totally agree with you. But yeah, interesting, and you're absolutely right in terms of that world. It's different, and maybe they're ahead of the game. I know my son's far better in a load of elements of tech than I am. So yeah, absolutely. But like you were saying, the world, the dynamic has changed. Our old dynamic was bricks and mortar. It was talking to people, and it was building relationships, and it's still that, but. With these newer businesses and newer worlds and all that now, there's no ceiling to it anymore. We would always look at building a local business and whatnot, but the dynamic has changed, and that was all I wanted to touch on. The second one, you actually answered it, you nailed it, because I was chuckling when you said it, because when you wrote down about self-employed, I've written in my notepad here in capital letters, I've written job. Job.
Yeah.
And then I think initially self-employed, just because it is a job without any of the benefits of being employed, so no holiday pay, no sick pay, that kind of stuff, with a bit more responsibility. And then I think when you launch a business, it's a job and self-employed and more responsibility. So I'm not sure we're really selling it to people here, but that's just the realities of it, isn't it?
And I think sometimes it's not about selling it to people, is it? It's about, trying to, when people do talk to me about building and running a business, and first of all, like I'm sure you do a lot of times, I'm like, well, define what you mean by a business initially, what we're talking about. Because, in the personal training world, it drives me fucking crazy, people telling me they run their own business. And I'm like, okay, so what do you do? And they're like, I train people, and I train people online, I do this. I'm like, you don't have a business. You're self-employed, that's admirable, but you're self-employed. Like, who works for you? Like, oh, no, look me, I do it all. You're like, so basically, you've got a logo, and you've got a couple of social media pages, and maybe a website. It's not a business, right? It's self-employed, and if you left, no one would be posting on your social media. Your website would just become dormant, and so it's not. It's not a business because you are your business. You are basically just selling your time and taking money, taking the cash yourself. It's not going to the company anymore, and you're paying your own fucking taxes. So whilst it's got legs to maybe go into some sort of business, it's technically not a business. It's just working for yourself and being self-employed, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think I find it's funny. I found it in all walks of life, right? I relate this to all the personal trainers out there that don't want to call themselves a personal trainer because it's not flashy enough. It doesn't make them seem important enough. Like, oh, I'm not a personal trainer. I'm an exercise specialist, or I'm a strength and conditioning coach, or I'm this. Like, you're a personal trainer, and there's nothing wrong with that. It fucks me off. I'm like, I don't care what I call myself, right? If you want to call yourself a strength and conditioning coach and you're charging $50 an hour, and I call myself a personal trainer and I'm charging $250 an hour, are you? I mean, fucking title. I don't give a fuck about the title. I care about what I can charge.
Yeah, I mean, James Smith's doing all right out being the title personal trainer, isn't he?
Exactly. I think you're leaning into it a little bit and just being like, some people like to call themselves a coach, and I get torn between the two words. And I'm just like, well, you can call yourself a coach, but most people in the industry know you as a personal trainer. And if you're going to market yourself and you use all the keywords, all your keywords of a coach, and there ain't going to be many people Googling you. But if you do all your keywords on your website, personal trainer, and I'm drop the fucking ego and use what's going to get you business, right, is what I look at. And I think
absolutely
moving into the business world creates the same thing. People become self-employed, but they don't like to say I'm self-employed because it doesn't sound flashy enough. What they like to say is, oh, I run my own business. Because then they think
it's like it's like a cafeteria, or like a roadside cafe in America or whatever. cafeteria, they call them over here, don't they? It's like them calling themselves a restaurant, and there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with being a cafeteria, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with being a diner, or whatever the word is over there. And there's nothing wrong with, it's about aligning with what your services are. And when it becomes really, really muddled up, that's when there's a problem. It should just be simple. If you, whether that's online or whether in a gym or whatever, if you do some form of physical training in the services you sell, like you say, all them daft titles, corrective exercise specialist and all that kind of stuff. But if you do, some form of squats and press ups and whatnot like that, in my mind, you're a trainer, all right? Yeah. And you may, in your behavioural, you may do coaching.
Yeah.
You will exhibit behaviours of coaching. Yeah. But you're a trainer, and
your
you
role
can be
is to train people.
Yeah, you can be an elite level trainer, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No, and I think I notice it in the US a lot. Right, the US has got a ton of laws around nutrition. So we hire a lot of trainers, and they all come in. A lot of them don't do any form of nutrition with their clients because they're kind of told not to do it. And especially some of the bigger chains, they're cautious of getting sued and shit. So they don't give nutrition advice. They just train people. So you're even more a trainer. I think, as a personal trainer, if you do a lot of nutrition with your clients, I think that's where, to a certain degree, a bit more coaching element comes in. Because, nutrition, is a, you don't teach nutrition, right? There's a lot more to getting people to kind of stick to, good habits with all that sort of stuff than training people in the gym.
Yeah, it becomes behavior. It becomes behavioral, doesn't it? And that's where coaching comes into it. Yeah, you start looking at emotions and all that kind of stuff, then, don't you? And what emotions to food and what relationships with food and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%. It kind of. Do you find that, like, how many people come to you, and you, like I said, you've done a couple of days mentoring, right? And I know you're some of your group, fairly well. You've got a big group there. How many, when you get them to sort of sit down, but initially kind of come to you, have an end goal in mind with their business? Do people tend to know or even think of that part of this? Or like me and everyone else, when you start a business, you're so busy thinking about just getting it off the ground, you don't really think of the big picture.
I think a lot of them, like we did, like the path that we did, they started out, as you've already said, completely agree with you, is that a lot of them became self-employed and thought that was then them owning a business, and then they've realised that it's a job without any of the benefits, and 1 minute they're a trainer and then they're doing sales and marketing, and it's tough and all that. But what then happens is, again, this as well, if not better than I do, some will stay where they are, some will leave, and then some will have ambition. And then if the ambition goes well, and good for them, but then if it doesn't, some will leave. And then what will happen is maybe somewhere in the middle of that, which is where they end up at my door, is things are either not always working for them, or they've done okay and they're looking to then sort of move on. But you've said it again. It's that famous saying. I think it was Stephen Covey. I think it was, who said, "Start with the end in mind." And it's an old saying. I think it was Covey. Forgive me if I'm wrong there. But anyway, and so where we start is absolutely, first and foremost, we've got to make sure that they're surviving. Like you've said already, can they pay their bills? With whatever it is they're doing, whatever it is they're selling. Can they pay their bills? Because you're going to be in the shit pretty quick if you can't pay your bills. And and it's not a place to harvest a growth mindset when you're in panic mode and panic stations, and you're not sleeping well because you're worried about money and all that kind of stuff. So we tend to look at that first, but then we're really, really clear after that. And this answers your question now, but it also answers your earlier question as well, which is that, when years ago, when I wanted to progress from self-employment, I started up a business, and it was a group exercise business called Fighting for Fitness. You'll probably remember that. Yeah. And then different regions diverted to, different ways, and ended up owning a couple of personal training studios. Yeah. Now they had a name, a business name, and
Yeah.
they were something. And I totally agree with you. There was an end in mind, and the end was an exit. Now, I also, as you know, which I don't bring up much, and is not really for this. Is it for the scope of this call? Who knows? But maybe I'm still not overly comfortable talking about it. But I had another business that was non-health and fitness related that
Yeah.
was going really, really well. It was in the world of security. But then in terms of my exit, didn't end well for me. But the one thing that was clear on those, whether that was that group exercise business, whether it was the personal training studios or the business that wasn't related to health and fitness, there was the possibility for an exit in mind. There was something that you could build, something that you could grow, make it have lots of money, lots of profit, a good balance sheet, and then eventually you could turn around to somebody else and go, hey, want to buy my boot camp business or want to buy my personal training studios. And if that's the route that people want to take, then we've got to be clear on that, because then there's a certain set of behaviours and skills and actions, and that's the most important thing, that will take us towards that. What I would tend to call like a bricks and mortar type business. Yeah. But then the other type of business, which is definitely the one that's become more prevalent in the last 10 years, isn't it? Which we never did years ago, or if we did, it certainly wasn't scalable. It was what you would get stuck at self-employed level with this kind of business in the past. Is the personal brand? Is where the business and you and your identity are all fused and immersed together.
And
now,
do you think on that one, like I'm going to come back to my type of business and people doing it that way as well, but do you think that people have less of a thought of an exit strategy with online businesses because of the feel that this can be done from anywhere and I can just do this forever? I feel like there's less of a thought going into it.
I don't think they give it any thought.
No, because it is this thing. It's like, well, now I'm not on the gym floor, or let's use gyms as an example. I'm not working physically as much. I could technically do this forever, and people love to put their own name on something. But sooner or later, you're going to have the same problem. I feel when you attach your name to your brand, even if it's you can be the face of your brand, but not be the name of it, right? And at least that way you can start to slowly pull away. I always feel when you use your own name, there's an element of getting stuck at some point. And even if you try to pull away, depending on certain people and certain brands, like you're going to have to step someone up to run your business. But how long is it going to be before that person doesn't want to say, oh, I'm the manager, whatever name of such and such personal training online? Because you're going to have to use somebody else's name every time you say what your job is. And sooner or later, you're going to go, well, why don't I just do it myself?
Why don't I do it my own?
Just don't get me wrong, but when you use a name, I think you shorten the lifespan of someone that might run it for you.
I agree.
Do I want to say I run Rick Moylan's mentoring, let's say, and I'm not saying that someone's going to then, and unfortunately, what someone would do most likely is copy you and take some of your business and eventually change it to I'm running my own thing now, it's John Bond mentoring. Right? And people do that with brand names as well, but I just feel that there would be mentally, from a staffing point of view, a much quicker road to that when it's a name and you have to say, I run this business, it's called this. And you're like, but called that. Do you know, I always wonder about that.
You're absolutely right. People, first off, people don't give it that much thought, but then there's definitely a ceiling to it. Now, in terms of our mentoring program, which comes after my name, you're absolutely right. I made a conscious decision a year or two ago that was going to be more passion based, and that there would be criteria for the people we work with, and if they didn't hit a certain criteria based on values and integrity and all that kind of stuff, then then we wouldn't work with him. So therefore, we will massively limiting our growth and limiting our revenue, and that's okay. That's a passion-based project.
So with that, I'm guessing the exit strategy would be, and there's nothing wrong with this exit strategy. If you just choose to decide I don't want to do this anymore, you kind of almost shutting Ric Moylan Mentoring down in a way.
Close it down. Yeah, you close it down. Yeah. You close it down. Yeah.
But I do think some people probably set themselves up like that, using their name, thinking that someone else will run it for them one day.
They absolutely do, and then what they realise is it just becomes a slightly better paid job.
Yeah.
That's all that happens. It becomes a slightly better paid job. Whereas there's a key element when you're working under the personal brand, and that is you have to create a product. You have to create a product. So whether that product is a coaching program or an educational program or a supplement or a coat or a t-shirt, whatever, because then you can actually. And the classic example, and I'm certainly mindful of the pure level this guy is at. And his name escapes me, ironically. It's been a long week, but it's Mr. Gymshark. I've forgotten his name. But whereby everyone knows he's the guy. Everyone knows Ben Francis. There we go. Everyone knows him. He's got personal brand. He's a big name. He's a billionaire now and all this kind of stuff.
But Gymshark will comfortably live on without him.
Oh, absolutely. He's gone back in as the CEO, and I'm not sure why that is, but he stepped down and stepped away from running the business for a long time. The business grew exponentially when he stepped away. So because he had a product.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the reason people step back in is maybe they do put someone in place as a CEO and it doesn't quite work, and you jump back in yourself for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would be an example there, right?
Mm-hmm.
He I don't know if he may have even got kicked out of his company, but and whatnot, and then kind of came back in and out again. So you can't always just jump out and stay out. Maybe you hire the wrong person, maybe numbers drop, and you're the only person that can get things back on track. But if Gymshark is becoming now its own standalone brand, yes, everyone knows who set it up. Would be no different than back in the day. Phil Knight setting up Nike, right? And there was Nike and the whole little setup, and now Nike will go on forever. It doesn't matter who's in charge of it, right? Big global brands like that. And I think what I've learned about the exit strategy thing is I didn't have one really at the start. It was floated that we'll build the gyms, and we'll then get them to this point, and then the idea would be 10-year plan and sell them. But in my head, I was never really, that thought process I wasn't bothered about that right at the beginning. I was like, well, if we get into that point, great, but I just want to own gyms. But what I did learn halfway in, now you start to get 4 or 5 years into the slog, I guess, of it, and it's, it is making some money, it's not making money, this is hard work. And the key for what I've learned about having the exit strategy and going, okay, what do you actually want to do with this? What is the plan? And it's not always just one, because that helps with the motivation during all the fucking tough times, right? What am I trying to achieve? So for me, in the US, you have to take, by and large, it's like 10-year lease. Just a long fucking lease time to make work. But it gives you a 10-year plan, and the two options, pretty much the main, there's 3 options. One option is you don't make the 10 years. Right, and it doesn't last, and you have to shut it down.
Oh yeah, not a good option. But it happens. But it happens. Yeah.
Option 2 is, you make as much money as you possibly can personally out of the business, with the idea that it's going to make enough profit and money to potentially have someone interested in buying it. But if it doesn't, at that 10-year mark, you're kind of like, okay, what now? Have I made enough money? Do I want to continue? Do I want to re-sign the lease and keep going? Or do I want to go in a different direction? But I've made enough money to walk away if I want and go, I'm done with the personal training business. Or is it doing well enough without you? So you've already pulled away. You've got at least 2 or 3 years of evidence that it can run without you. Not 6 months, because you go and sign a new lease and it fucks up and you're back in, right? 2-3 years of having other people run it, maybe you give them some shares, and now they're happy, they're making money because the gym's making money. And then you sit down with the team and go, okay, I'm not going to sell it, but I'm going to give you guys a bit more ownership, give you guys a bit more whatever. Do you want to take on another 5 years of lease? Type thing. So I'm still owner behind the scenes, but I'm really not involved much anymore. Going until it could potentially sell if you wanted it to. Like I said, or you just get out and go, look, I've made my money. And there's no interest. No one really wants to buy it, even if it's sellable. But I just don't want to continue anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what you're getting over in the States right now, but that's exactly what Man United are going through. At the minute now, Manchester United, they've got a new owner, and he's actually, when you look at it, he's only bought 25%. But in terms of, the flip of that, I think he's bought 27%. The flip of that is 73% is still owned by somebody else. You know, but those owners, and they're not popular at all in this country, and certainly with Man United fans. But those owners essentially are already now looking at that exit. But what they're trying to do, which is very clever, and of course they're very successful business people, don't like their methods, but you know that's a different story.
The Glazers,
the Glazers, yeah. But what they're doing is they are making their exit really slow and drawn out. But they in terms of, you know, the dude who's got hold of the steering wheel now, who's got the 27%, he's in charge. But there's still a chairman or chair people behind the scenes who are still very much, you know, the owners. And you know, for me, my business, it was absolutely was in the forefront of my mind. It was create a personal brand. And that's a personal brand that will stay with me until I close it down, because that's me. But then off that is a product based business, and that's what I've built and I'm building. Maps is a product based business. It's a coaching regime and a coaching program that works with businesses, that works with leadership teams. And it's a resilience and empowerment based coaching program. That there is already a course and a framework and a syllabus in place that can be sold on.
You can have someone working with you on that or under you, and slowly, you know, the daily videos you shoot, you know, you've got a sidekick.
Absolutely.
Their face is getting known a little bit, and slowly you do less, they do more.
Absolutely.
Hopefully there's this transition of, you know, you run your seminars and things, and maybe you do some seminars and you send this other guy off to do other seminars. You know, you get me or this guy, and then slowly, if you want to start slowly pulling away and being more behind the scenes,
absolutely,
becomes a bit of the face of it. Which what people like to grow into. You know, usually you work for somebody or you work with a business that you align with and kind of want to be a bit like that person. You want someone basically to follow in your footsteps to take it over, right?
Well, we've just touched on it. Later this year, under another name, a brand that we've been creating now for a couple of years, we're going to launch an event-based business, and that will be a personal development event that will start off at local level and at local size, and that will grow, and it's all about what my purpose is and what I want to do with my career. But again, that will be an event-based business that then can be taken, you know, mobile across the UK and beyond, if we can get enough momentum behind the brand, and that there's an exit in that. Now, as you also know, maybe people listening do or don't know, I have a charity event and a charity brand. And it's about being clear on your path, and it's about being clear on your decisions with this. Now, it's ironically, it's actually the 9th anniversary today of my niece of her being born today. She was only alive for 12 days, and I created, in case people don't know who are listening, I created this event to raise money for a charity in Manchester that looks after her, newborn intensive care babies. Now, again, that brand is a passion based, brand, and it's a passion based event. But I have consciously made that decision to only run that event once here in Manchester. Now, I've had offers because that brand is solid. If I wanted to, and I've had a moral compass with this, because we've raised a lot of money for the charity so far, £500,000 so far. We could raise more if I turned it into a business, which I could do with it. But then and had that event in London or in Dublin or Edinburgh or Barcelona or wherever. But it's a conscious decision not to do that. It's a passion based thing. And when I decide to bring it to a close, maybe I'll sell the brand for a chunk of money to then go give that to the charity. But maybe I'll just shut it down. It's about being clear on your path.
Yeah, but you built it to a point where, so like, if I'm hearing that one right, and this would be a business where, I guess in some ways you built it to a point where you have options. Whether there's a clear
absolutely
clear path as to which one you want, that's up in the air for you a little bit, because you don't know, whether you would want to sell it. Is that something you want to do? Do you want to see someone else take it over and take it in a direction that you have done? But you could hire a CEO one day.
Well, when that charity event. Yeah, when that charity event started, I was 1 minute I was meeting with a venue, 1 minute I was trying to sell tickets, 1 minute I was then turning up at the boxing training, trying to train the boxers and all that kind of stuff, and doing everything and doing it all because of in memory of my niece and to support our family. Doing it all. There wasn't much money in the pot and all that kind of stuff. Whereas now we're able to how I run it now is I have an event team. The event's amazing, if I say so myself. We have an event team.
If you've not seen it, go and check some of the clips out on YouTube, because it's fucking awesome. Like, if you were to look at the first one to the last one, like, the change has been fucking amazing.
Yeah, Charity Boxing Nights it's called, isn't it? .co.uk. But we have an event team now, but they're all paid, they're all salaried. We've got boxing trainers that get paid. We've got fitness trainers. We've got everybody that helps bring this event together is paid, and I oversee it, and I make sure that it runs at a profit and loss, and there's a balance sheet in place, and so. But like you say, there's options with that.
For sure, heart and soul is on that one. Like, there's nothing, like you said, there's nothing to say that you have to stay the face of it forever, and you could hire people to run it, do everything for you, and one day not even be there at all if you didn't want to be. You might want to get up and do a speech every year or whatever. But the fact that behind the scenes that's something you've built, and every single year it's making this much money for that charity, whether you're there or not, is still viable, because you might not want to do it all in another 5 years or whatever.
Absolutely.
You might want to, you might want to do it until whenever, so the fact that you built it to a point where you have the options, I think would be everybody's business dream.
But that's you've nailed it there, mate.
Yeah.
You've nailed it. When it's the product that can come under a personal brand, but when it's the product, it has to run without you.
Yeah.
If it can run without you, you're all right, and you've got the potential exit. If it can't run without you, and I am absolutely certain. I mean, my event guys, particularly, one in particular, Jordan, he's called. Yeah. He laughs his head up because I think he thinks I cause him more problems than anything else. But but I'm certain that the event team could run that event. I'm certain that the boxing trainers could run that training camp. We've got the same judges, the same referee. It would run without me, and my ego's okay. My ego's okay with that.
No, because like you said, it's a good thing. I mean, who knows, right? We build these things and we plan these things, right? And, if it happened, it happened. But we don't think about certain worst-case scenarios, right? You run that event at pretty much the same time every year, right? And you built it now to a point where, let's say, God forbid, nothing ever bad happens, but something bad happened to you or whatever, or you were sick. as you get older, whatever, and you couldn't be there for it that year for whatever reason. These things happen, right? But the event still goes on.
Yeah.
You don't have to cancel the event because you can't be there, or something happened, or some big family thing, whatever it might be. You're building this event once a year where the event runs on no matter what. And eventually, look at events around the world that run on after the person that set it up passes away. Events have gone on for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. To build something that could live on after you, not only in your family's and niece's name and all that stuff, but eventually then even in your name as the person to set that up. That's potentially, I'm not saying that's what you want, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but that's potentially fucking iconic. Who can say that they're something that's going to run on and on once they've passed away? I mean, that's a whole other fucking exit strategy.
Absolutely. yeah. I don't want that one. I don't want that one anytime soon. But
there is that.
But it's going to happen.
Yeah, would this be? Everyone talks about leaving their
legacy is the word. Legacy.
That's a true legacy, right? Having something that's living on well once you've gone. That name is synonymous with you. When people say, "Oh, well, who built this company? Where did this all come from?" And they're explaining some guy that passed away 20 years ago that built this from nothing. To me, that's the ultimate fucking thing you could build. Or people, I guess the other side of it is people that build businesses to then hand down to their families if they want to get involved in the family business. I'm not sure I would.
Yeah, absolutely. But
the best one in the world, I don't think I'd leave a fitness business to my family. They'd be fucking pissed off. Like, could you not build like a gold or a jewelry fucking something that's going to make me a lot of money?
Property business, property business or something. But mate,
fuck you, Jim. I want a real business.
Yeah, I mean, mate, but look at High Rocks. I don't know how big it is in America, the High Rocks fitness event, but it's
not so much in the States. Yeah, you don't see it. It's still obsessed with CrossFit, but
it's huge in Europe, and they've got multiple events running in Europe on the same day, and they've got a clear blueprint. And I call it, going back to what you were saying before, I call it like a break leg scenario. Not that I want to break my leg anytime soon. Touch wood, fingers crossed, but. In 2016, Charity Boxing Nights training camp, when I was doing everything and selling all the tickets and trying to do everything, I rolled my ankle doing the pads with a boxer. We were doing the pads on a poor surface, and I pivoted off, and my ankle just went pop. It was a grade 3, and my ankle was up like a tennis ball. Absolutely, what do we do then? And now, by pure luck, him, Lloyd Gordon. Lloyd was able to step in and help me do the training, and it made me think. It made me think. Actually, I've got to build something where that isn't reliant on me. That's what we've done. So,
no, I think
start with the end in mind.
Yeah, and it's interesting that even just this conversation, the end can mean many different things, and it's more about having some sort of plan. And the more I've thought about it, the more I realise there's a fluid of like maybe three layers to your plan. What would be your favourite option, which might be to sell it for X amount of money. Second favourite option is just to not need to be there and give it other people to run and give them some ownership and not really have to worry about it because you've got people you can trust. And my other option is walk away with some money to put into something else or whatever. Yeah. With me at my age of my career, like if your exit strategy has you exiting at 30 or 35, that's very different than your exit strategy, which for me will be, when the lease is up on this place, I'll probably be near 55. So the age-related exit strategy comes into it a little bit as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Take another 10-year lease that takes me to 65. I don't know about it. But I don't know what position I'll be in. But at the same time, hopefully
you'll still be training, and you'll still have massive. You'll still have massive arms. You'll be training every day at 10 o'clock. That's what you'll be doing.
But I want to be able, like I said, do that without the stress of running a business to a certain degree. So, yeah, I know now what my two options are, and that's assuming we get to that point. There's always a chance that things don't even get that far, but having that exit strategy and that focus has helped, because I got a bit lost in some ways, the last 2 years, me and you spoke about this a lot. And I think it's because I didn't have that in mind. I was so busy worrying about the day-to-day, the month-to-month, that I had no focus anymore. You know, I realized when you have a job and you're climbing the ladder, your focus is climbing the ladder. So I was always motivated in some ways. I was always like, well, you know, I want this person's job. I want that person's job. I want this company to move me to that country. I had all these fucking goals that I kept luckily achieving and getting there and getting to where I wanted to be. And then when you get your own business, you're a bit like, okay, fuck, now what? What's the goal? You know, myself and Danny have had this conversation a few times because, you know, for her, she's like, well, where's my career growth now? We're like, this is our career growth. We run a business.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get my head around understanding it from her side a little bit as well, and being like, oh, fuck, you're absolutely right. Like, what does she want? You know, did you go? She's younger than me. Does she want to do something else with her life at some point? Run a different business?
Yeah, she got another phase there and all that kind of stuff. Definitely.
So I'm like, okay, we need a plan, because if you don't want to be here, which is absolutely fine. Same thing, you know, all the stuff that she does that she's really good at, this needs to run without her. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Even I'm like, fucking, well, you can't leave yet because, you know, I fucking need you. So you know, you're going to have to fucking train someone to do what you do well. And then we're going to have to chain them to the fucking business so they don't leave. But yeah, and again, that comes down to fucking systems and all these other things in place. But it's,
yeah, I mean, in MAPS, mate, we have 3 pillars that we coach people, 3 really simple pillars. One is health, brackets, a foundation of. 2 is mindset, build your mindset. And 3 is vision, focus on your vision. And we all need that vision, whether it's for 3 months, 12 months, and beyond, you know. So
I think it's possible, you know, to wrap up a little bit, like, I guess, to give a bit of advice on this. And what I'm trying to do now, and it all depends on the financial health of your business. But if your strategy is an exit one, if your strategy is not to have to be stuck in the day-to-day, spend as much fucking time as it takes to train your staff to do what you need them to do. And if you don't have the right people, get the right people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like firing people, don't get me wrong, and I don't know how much of my team listen to this, so I don't want to talk about firing people. But, you know, hire quick, fire quicker. If you don't have the right people, you're going to keep doing this shit yourself for the rest of your life and wondering why the business has never outgrown you. And, you know, I say to my guys all the time, I'm like, you know, you guys are all 10, 20, whatever years younger than me. You guys should be developing and building this business. Some point, if that's what you really want. You know, I'm a fucking dinosaur. I know what I like. I know how to set things up and system. When it comes to, like, you know, modernizing, you know, personal training, modernizing our systems, modernizing things. Like, I got my systems, you know, 10 years ago. My systems are still the best way of doing everything.
Absolutely. Because to loop it back and, like you say, to end it, like, that's what we started on with the social media, isn't it? Things change, things evolve, and all that. So
finding the right people, teaching and educating, incentivizing the right people. If your plan is to get out, or at least not be involved on the day-to-day, then, you know, you can't keep doing it all yourself. And I think, unfortunately, the business owners, me included, and Danny's the same. Danny's actually worse than me. She's got that attitude of, well, they can't do it as well as me, so I'm going to do it myself. It's just easier. They don't want to manage people. You don't want to manage. It's just fucking I can't be arsed chasing them. I'll just do it myself. And when do it, they don't do it as well, and then I have to fix it. I've got to do it. I'm like, okay, but there's the process. There's the thing. You've just nailed it. You've got to let go, and you've got to incentivize. That's a powerful word. You've got to incentivize. Cool. Right, well, I'm going to let you go because you've got a holiday coming up this weekend, right? You're off to Madrid.
I am.
Jealous of that. I would like that. Although I've got a couple of holidays coming up. Hopefully March sort of time. So try and get away a little bit. Not nowhere as fancy as Madrid, but we'll see. I'll let you know.
Me and my son, we're gonna go and watch Real Madrid.
Oh, you got tickets? Who they playing?
Sevilla. Sevilla. They're playing Sevilla.
Oh, that's a good game.
I'm excited for it, but I'll be back.
Well,
I'll be back for
you're a United fan, aren't you? So, like, hopefully Madrid will actually get a win.
Yeah, we've not watched too much. We've not watched too much good football recently. So hopefully, me and Liam will be watching a decent game.
Usually, Real Madrid. You don't have to guess in the Spanish league that it's Real Madrid or Barcelona. They're usually up there. So
yeah, they're doing all right. They're doing all right, and yeah, they've got Jude Bellingham, who's the English player, who's a real superstar in the making. So yeah, he's a superstar already. But so yeah, nice weekend. But we're back for the call next week, and
perfect.
I will see you then.
All right, thanks guys. Thanks for listening, and please do fucking subscribe if you do actually listen to any of our channels on Apple. What else? We're on
Spotify, YouTube. Yeah.
Do subscribe, give us a like, and all that shit that we're supposed to try and sell this a little bit. So I'm making an effort. But no, thanks for listening. Thank you, Rick, and we'll catch up again next week.
Take care, guys. See you later.